Hey, this is for everybody who has already met their karmic soulmate, twin flame soulmate. And for those of you who are still thinking, who is he? Who is she? Where can I find them? So before I start, I'm going to just explain to you the spread that I have developed for this occasion. So here are the significators that I'm using for this particular reading. Remember, significators mean that this is going to be the same for every sign. The reason why I'm choosing them, it's sort of like the category that I really want to find the answers to, as if you're in a bookstore and you find a book with this title. So let me explain to you the significators that I'm choosing. The first one is Luna. Luna is going to tell me about the darkness and everything that maybe still didn't surface, maybe things that you don't know, maybe things that you should know. Then we have Solar Deity. Solar Deity is going to tell us what you should know. Maybe there is like still somewhere lingering, maybe it is too bright for you, maybe it's too close to your eyes, but you're going to realize that maybe you know that. Then we have Reason. Many of us are asking, why? That's the hardest question as a therapist and as a reader to really answer. Why? Because we people, we don't really make too much sense when it comes to love. So we're going to try to answer it within this card. Then we have the card guidance. Let's see, because it's your mirror soul, what do you need to find out about this person? If you guys still didn't read my introduction to this series, please check somewhere in this corner before you proceed, because it's going to tell you really how and what I see it. I see it as a mirror, and that's why this is called Mirror Healing series. Then we are getting to the Tower, and the Tower is going to tell us about what needs to break. It is like always a time that certain things cannot grow anymore, and maybe they cannot grow because they're not sustainable. Maybe, we need to kind of change us. Maybe they need to change. Whatever it is, we're going to discover it in this category. And the Chariot, a lovely card with pushing it forward. Where do we go? Which turn do we take? And then let's check the significance of all of this. Two of Chalices. Is there a kiss that is going to happen? Or what at this point of time is karma telling us? So, guys, shall I start? Hi Scorpio, and welcome to your Twin Flame series. Your comments would be more than welcome, at least if you can just give me one or two words. I really want to see how you guys are resonating with that. Then again, if the message is really kind of like passing by you, sort of this might be actually for somebody else. So keep that in mind. This is a general reading, and only a private reading gives you really the best possible result. So, without much further ado, let's kind of start. Let's see what is hidden in your situation right here. Well, we have the Chariot, and we have the Ten of Swords, and Pathway. So there was a certain motion forward. It almost looks like you guys sort of like faced yourself. You kind of like looked in your own demons. Maybe you said, oh, gee, golly, kind of like certain things, kind of like I need to kind of keep pushing forward. So there is like, look at this, the Tower is left in the background, still kind of standing. It's kind of like understanding that you kind of like have to, it's a spiritual journey of a kind. Maybe there was a tendency to think black and white. Oh, you're either good, you're either bad, you're either very sexy or not sexy. Sort of like not finding all these kind of shades of gray that could have done. But that motion forward, for some reason, kind of ended up in kind of like piercing pain. Ten of Swords is like something that comes unexpected. To me, this is like no good deed goes unpunished. Kind of a card where, you know, you're doing stuff for the others, and instead of I don't really necessarily see that you have been asking for anything in turn, but you were not definitely expecting this, that something in this particular situation was somebody undermining you, or maybe somebody else is kind of like moving in their own direction. Maybe they need to work on their own demons, and there are lots of them, kind of like just to pull all the swords out. It can get painful. It can get, you know, uncomfortable, to say the least. This is not the element where you can kind of create. You're able to go to the deepest depths of emotion. And these deepest depths for you are just simply a matter of your heart. What do I feel? See, the Chariot kind of like links to Cancer, kind of like in which direction I really want to go. It's kind of like really applied emotion if you really want. But here, that's air. And it's like something that sort of like almost like eats you. It's like a virus, like a computer virus in your own head that goes, oh my gosh, this goes in all directions, and it wasn't. I flicked a switch and I got this. Why? Almost like it has been like definitely not a reward for something that you are doing, that you were doing so well. And hence, there is like sort of like set on a new pathway. But this new path, for some reason, I'm not seeing as a new direction. I'm more or less seeing that, look at that beautiful, almost like a light coming to you. And even here, I see this light. You see, the sun is behind. In the other decks, this card is usually very dark, and we only see the light showing. The good news about this, the worst is over. What has happened, happened. And I don't know if this is about your past, but there is like definitely telling me that there was like a motion forward from somebody who you were, and motion towards something. I don't know, are you guys becoming more spiritual? Well, welcome to my channel. If that's the case, I'm glad to see you here. If you're not a subscriber, please click subscribe. Or simply, you guys are sort of like seeing things differently. Your vision has shifted. It's going to be interesting if you get Hangman as well somewhere in the cards. So let's see what maybe you already know, or what maybe should have been known already. Wow, this is lovely. Ace of Pentacles, the Hierophant, and the Lovers. I just don't even know where to start. That's such a lovely combination of cards. And they add to 21, like something that you have been doing, guys. You have been going toward this light. You have been. And you felt that it was difficult. You felt that maybe the other people didn't have the understanding about that. But oh my gosh, like, I mean, you know, some people get ambitious at work. Some kind of like people kind of like want what they want. And you certainly kind of like, you were ambitious almost like in your spirit world, I would say. It's just like spectacular, kind of like to see that. But I don't know what happened. What happened in your life that you almost like resurrected? This is kind of like claiming yourself, claiming completely new direction in which you want to go. Because here we see Ace of Pentacles. Absolutely, something wants to go long term, especially after seeing this, after this 10. Something that maybe you still don't know, that is like still sitting in the bushes. Maybe somebody else needs to kind of like see the light over here. Maybe somebody else needs to deserve you. Because look, you have a lot of grounding energy. You have Ace of Pentacles, you have the Hierophant, so we have a very strong Taurus over here. We have strong Cancer. It's kind of like really kind of like dipping in emotionally, but also dipping in trying to see in which direction to go. The Hierophant is a marriage card, is officiating marriage, and something looks like you're in a situation, something that actually is projected to be, you know, go toward marriage or you're married. And then we have lovers to boot. Like, you guys almost like currently have a situation which is kind of interesting, right? And I really like this like Rodin statue over here. So this definitely card almost represents everything to kind of like wish for, the good match and the romantic love and profound friendship, loyalty and trust, right? It is definitely telling me that maybe you're searching or trying to find and almost look at this light that he's looking at. It almost like look like an extension of this like star, and it's either, I don't know, are you guys the star over here? It's indication of love or falling in love. Also, it can actually indicate an affair at a workplace with possibly boss or somebody. It is kind of like really interesting, because it indicates both love and friendship, given that Ace of Pentacles is here. Because Ace of Pentacles is not like, oh, I'm just going to jump your bones and I'm going to give you best sex of your life. No, nothing like that. This is like really kind of like important, right? Because it is like really dedication over here. So I don't know, I guess this is like talking about somebody, even if you're not with this person, because it looks like you have been going through thick and thin. There is like this huge hope and huge kind of like willingness, and you're looking at them, you're willing to commit, and they're looking at you. But only negative here that I see is like that maybe you're not necessarily on the same level of that commitment. Like, you see this Ace of Pentacles is definitely, yeah, you know, I do see you, I do want to go in this direction, where this one is like, I really want to get married. Like, what else is to wait for? So that's something like that is like out in the open, but like, right, this is kind of like really good worry to have. So let's see some kind of like reasons behind this. Well, we have the Hermit and the High Priestess. That's powerful combination. And courtship. So I don't know, guys, it sounds to me that you're kind of dating somebody here, or I'm getting lots of messages from people who are dating. But it's a twist in here, because that spirituality and that commitment here is extremely important to somebody. This kind of is interesting, because the Hermit is looking for his own, basically, wealth, right? He's looking, not money, kind of like, again, is like that soul searching so strongly. And so is the High Priestess, Alpha and Omega, from the beginning to the end, till death do us apart. Like, you have this courtship over here after lovers. Guys, if you're not dating anybody right now, very soon you will, because these first two cards are talking about a situation where you are sort of like alone on your own. You're trying to figure out your own thing. Maybe you're sending off these vibes, hey, leave me alone, I want to be alone. Or somebody else is sending you these vibes. But the truth is, look at this. This is like 9, and 4 is 13, and 2 is 15, which is the Devil card. There's lots of sex here. There's also lots of love. And you have the Lovers card, which is also 15. It's kind of interesting, because 15 in tarot is Devil, and 15 in this deck is Lover's card, which with you, Scorpio, I can understand that sometimes for you, love, you see, an air sign talking to Scorpio, and I really think that usually air and water make a good combination. But this is how it is. Air falls in love with ideas. Air falls in love with, you know, somebody's potential. So that's why, you know, air signs tend to be sapiosexual, meaning they first kind of like want to make love with your brain as really the most big turn-on organ. But you guys, no, for you need to touch somebody. You need to smell somebody. You need to find everything about that person. You kind of like consider this other person a mystery to be kind of like discovered. And it's not about conquering. It is about connectivity. It is about gluing this. And what is better way to glue than sex? So courtship, in your case, I would say it's sex. Sort of like sex is the answer in this case. And I would say kind of like, especially when we look at and put it in the period, kind of like this was sort of like a major activity for the time period, and it was a certain etiquette that has been sort of like involved, what you can do, you know what, like do not sleep on a first date, that kind of the stuff, right? And especially we have a Cupid and his little bow, if this becomes at any point, hello, now you see it here, it's aiming down here. I don't know, this could be early stages of relationship, that something is going back, that something has been established in the early stages of relationship. You know, it does represent social life, it does represent all kinds of meetings. It could be personal, it could be business, and again I'm seeing somebody kind of like with work. But also it is telling me that you are not going to even realize what's going to happen to you. You might actually change simply the status, because these cards are telling me very different messages. So maybe they are cards for different Scorpios. Some of them are for finding your own true desires, finding your own wisdom. It's kind of like a lesson truly learned. That's what wisdom is. That's what Hermit is talking about. The High Priestess is somebody who is kind of like observing, and it's kind of like, even though it belongs to the moon, it clearly kind of like comes to me back to you, Scorpio. You kind of like study, and you're going to find that you fall in love with the most ridiculous thing with this person. Oh, look at that crinkle on your nose, and it's like something they would hate, and it's going to be really hard for the other person to accept it, especially if they are not water sign like you. But this tells me that, you know, there is like all of a sudden somebody who is going to mean a world to you, somebody who is going to be so special. And it's going to be a whole bunch of public and private meetings and getting together. Like, I mean, it's definitely kind of giving you clues in this. So maybe you through that person are going to find some kind of answers over here. So let's see what's the guidance for you. Whoa, 5 of Swords and 3 of Cups. And Twin and Libra. Why does Scorpio need to go through this? Well, I guess because Scorpio doesn't like easy lessons. The 5 of Swords is about defeat, and 5 of Swords is about victory. So what the heck am I talking about? How can be both defeat and victory? It is actually a card that talks about somebody winning, and the opponent basically is losing so badly it really doesn't feel like win. It's like winning a chess against a 2-year-old and screaming, I won. There was that sense of understanding. You're getting this 11 here, very intuitive, very spiritual, that is kicking in over here. There is like this essence of waking up to something, understanding something. Maybe there is like this lingering, this is about friendship, that something on that end kind of like feels off, that certainly needs work. It needs a detailed work. It's, oh my gosh, this is such a spiritual reading. It's kind of like blowing my mind, Scorpio, almost like as if you're like so connected, you're like some kind of guru. And yet, like this kind of like feels like some really intense drama, like that is written, that you are sparing no one in this situation, including yourself. And yet, in spite of everything, you are pushing through, and you're like gaining like that understanding. And it's almost like really figuring things out. So let me just see here what needs to be reshafted, what needs to be fixed, what just cannot continue.
Princess of Wands and Nine of Pentacles, an official person. And there you go, another master number. Well, Princess of Wands is basically a newfound energy. But this has to end. Maybe you just started to date someone and maybe this is going too fast. And you guys, you really need to merge with somebody on a sexual level. You really need to feel their touch, to feel the smell. It is just like simply the only way to go. But if sex is good also, on the negative side of that, you start thinking love, 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 love is in the air, but it's still sex. And somebody is like so heavily independent. Somebody's doing really well over here. The Nine of Pentacles card I absolutely love. It's again telling me long term, and you had this Ace of Pentacles over here, right? And now you have like this Nine of Pentacles. It's almost like the entire process is like kind of like finishing over here. But this is telling me like, look, this is actually not finished. Maybe, I don't know, maybe you're thinking I need to seal the deal. Maybe you're thinking, well, you know, I need to kind of enjoy myself some more, because that's what basically this card means. Nine of Pentacles, it is understanding that we are who we are. It is understanding that, you know, we at times have to spend this like time alone where we really truly enjoy what we have. So make a nice bath, you know, go and get your manicure, go and get your pedicure. But these are still falling in the Tower category, and Tower is like what we need to shed. Maybe somebody feels on the arm's length, feeling maybe inadequate, because here we have this official kind of like person, which kind of to me is a little bit kind of a challenging card, you know, because it's somebody definitely who is playing with the strict rules. He has like all these medals, right? And literally he is any person in uniform, such as like a police officer, fireman, military man, judge, right, a doctor. But also can actually describe this other person, somebody who maybe is very kind of humorless, or who could be forceful, who could be actually very rigid, right? This is also somebody who is very ceremonial, right? And I don't know if the ceremony even means marriage, because like everything is going to be in love, and what is the next step? Kind of marriage. But maybe, you know, somebody needs to be very important in this, sort of like, you know, it could talk about a situation that where you're not in control, that somebody else is giving orders, right? So when this card is not a military officer, you know, right, or none of that, it's maybe just talking about somebody being unapproachable or intimidating, right? Especially if the person is not a lover, and if, I don't know, if you have somebody who is simply kind of pushing you away, or if you had any official kind of things going on, ceremonies. We just finished, you know, a work and transferring to a new position, or somehow this is kind of affecting, because this definitely can be a work card as well. You know, when this card appears, you may be confronted with strict rules, that somebody's strict rules are there, and maybe you're not even aware of these rules. So you really need to talk about that, because there is like a certain restraint and formality over here. There is like some ambition here happening behind the scenes, but somebody here should be more focused on following their own goals. And somebody else, because like one person wants to kind of like really participate, the other person saying, you know what, not a good time to get together. So it's like almost like two girlfriends, right? Hey, you want to go for coffee? You want to go for like for something? No, I'm busy. And then you find out this person was just like doing nothing, and this person gets offended. This person is like thinking, what, I cannot be on my own? So it can actually have this kind of energy. There is like simply some kind of like need to understand, solidify, and better control the situation which currently is not under control for some kind of reason. So let me see where this is going under this chariot heading. Whoa, we have the moon, we have Eight of Wands, and we have Privileged Lady. Whoa, whoa, and whoa. This definitely comes back to you. Something from the past is resurfacing over here. The Moon card is talking about shadows. It is talking about possible deceptions. It's talking about that things are not necessarily the way that you think they are. It's talking about, you know, conscious and subconscious. So one thing, again, is thinking with your emotions. Another one is thinking with your head. So when you're thinking with your head, it is conscious. But what you feel is subconscious. You know, I usually tell to my clients, just put on a paper both sides of this equation and see where you land. Because that's kind of like really, really important in this situation. Because sometimes we don't even understand that we are kind of like clashing with what we want. And then you have Eight of Wands, which is like maybe out of nowhere you get this love message. Maybe love messages are right now confusing. Maybe, you know, there is like one person who is kind of like appearing to be all of it. Wealth, you know, money, beauty, charms, or everything and above, right? So maybe this is the person who is kind of like giving all this kind of like affection, but the other person is somehow maybe, you know, kind of like withdrawn from it, or maybe even have some kind of like disdain for, I don't know, snobbery or vanity, you know. Maybe it's even actually completely clueless. This actually can talk about being carefree, like, you know, that is going to be a phase about no worries, that, you know, can actually represent prosperity and luxury. But just be very careful to what you're committing yourself to, because, you know, like the Moon card always worries me when I see it in a relationship, right? It's kind of like really, really interesting in this particular case to kind of look at it. So it is telling you to proceed, but to proceed with caution, and lavish them with love, lavish them with praise, because you literally want this Moon to kind of like open their hand, because here we have the Moon that was kind of like already hiding certain things. Maybe you simply want things to become visible. So let me see. What are they thinking? What are the messages from your twin flame? Well, we have a King of Cups, and there you go. Twin flame for sure. You have the Wheel of Fortune, one of my karmic cards. Oh my gosh, the marriage. Oh my gosh, can this get any courtship, lovers, marriage, Wheel of Fortune, Privileged Lady? Heck, I hate you, Scorpio. Sorry. Like, are you dealing with somebody else who is a water sign? Like, this, guys, it's going to be one of those things, you know, like when you're going in a certain direction and then things get hard. Usually people break up before they marry, because one person indicates, oh, I love you, and the other person thinks, oh, now I have to leave you because I don't love you enough. I always kind of like found that kind of like really ridiculous. Why do you think that it has to kind of like flow with the same speed? Well, that maybe changes when we get to marriage. One thing is like liking somebody. One thing is like kind of like trying to spend some time, dedication, and affection with them. Another thing is like getting married. And I think definitely this is kind of the message here. So Scorpio, congratulations, because it looks like you're heading this way, right? Because something is turning really, really well over here. The messages from the soulmate is like they kind of like want maybe something idyllic, maybe sort of like a fairy tale, maybe even a country, kind of like a wedding. You know, and keep in mind that this is kind of like connecting to this Lover's card, right? Which kind of like it's very important. It's almost like I think you just might get hitched, like just like that. If you're not in a relationship, guys, spend day and night finding somebody, because, oh my gosh, this period is beyond spectacular, because this stands for relationship, for bonds, for friendships. And it does have the card to support marriage. So if you meet somebody, this might be the one. This might be, you know, yes, maybe you enter here asking for one twin flame, But there is like some kind of energy of evolution. You're almost like going to this light, because twin flame is teaching us lessons, is mirror message that we need to see, we need to learn about ourselves, right? We have also cherry blossoms here. So today is the first day of the summer. Today is June 21st. So I think that maybe you can set up the wedding for the next spring. It is kind of like really weird that I'm kind of like all of a sudden seeing her bouquet, right? Which is also known as herb of lust, right? But it's sort of like very consumed by the broom. Pardon me, by the groom and the bride and their wedding guests, right? So this herb was meant to increase sexual desire, and this is like really, really up your alley. I don't know, guys, if you're with somebody with whom you kind of had sex, with whom you kind of like had a relationship, that sex became love, and that love become desire, and then desire become, well, I want to be with you like now and forever. But there are like some kind of like issues along the way. For some reason, I'm not so sure that they are that accepting of you. Maybe they think that sort of like you are not in their league. They're like definitely not opening certain things to you, and that kind of bothers me. It bothers me that maybe you're not getting your sense of freedom, and sooner or later this might not work out. But in the meantime, this is absolutely lovely. So what is the karmic meaning of this? Good God, can this actually even get any better? I don't think this can get any better. Other than like this, what is hidden, that something bad is hidden. But maybe somebody is kind of like getting over, look at this, I'm even having this like stream of light coming right through. Like the light is the key in your reading. It is light. You are heading toward light. Look, you have the lovers here. Hello? Not the devil lovers, not the 15. You have the 6. 6 is all about true love, true relationships. Yes, the choice. I choose you. And this creating immense happiness. This 1-9 is like not a solo 9. Here is like the couple, and it's complete understanding. Look at how full are these cups. This is like you, up your alley. And by the way, whatever is hidden here, which is kind of like in that air element, thinking through, somebody has thoughts. I'm almost like thinking this is not you. You have such kind of like clear things, because look, you have lots of 9s over here. Like it's the end of one phase, restart of something else, and like you have these 2 6s. So definitely soulmate, reaching the level of maturity which kind of like you deserve, reaching the level of being with somebody when even you feel that your choice can be really permanent. And certainly you have indication of permanence over here, and sort of like marriage stapled on everything over here, guys. Yeah, I want an invitation to be really, really honest with you, because this kind of like really looks lovely. So let me just pick one more card for advice. Okay, and I think this is going to bother you. You being Scorpio, you want to know what's hiding behind this kind of like door. So let me see what advice I can give you in this situation. This one wants to jump slow and steady. And you know what? The Ace of Pentacles and the Hierophant are definitely slow and steady. And we know it's slow and steady wins the race. And I think we had a 12 right next to the Privileged Lady. So let me just read this one for you. It says, if you can even see it, slow and steady wins the race. Remember the old cliche, slow and steady wins the race. This is a time for easy movement, unhurried steps, and a steady heart. Trust that taking life at a more leisurely pace will give you greater access to your dreams. Slowing down allows more contact with the juicier elements of your life. Savor them. Even Slow and Steady talks about the juicy parts of life. You guys are definitely coming out of your shell. You guys are definitely not stinging anybody. You are coming into this with open heart, with enough maturity. It looks like you have been searching a spiritual path, and you really want to follow your path. And maybe you have kind of strayed away, especially those of you who are already dating, and your partner told you, hello, wake up, what about me? And now, with this newfound truths and visions and direction, you're like rejoicing. And it's one of those beautiful cards. When I see it in 8 of Cups, which you don't have, and the person walks away, sometimes they walk away before, something really important. And you see many breakups before, marriage or proposal. But then many of them also come back, because that's kind of like a situation over here. You simply kind of like, there is like a power struggle here that I see. I see somebody being actually hurt, and somebody even feeling backstabbed and devastated. But I also see this as sort of like reaching clarity and moving in a different direction. So Scorpio, oh my gosh, I can't wait to see your comments. I really don't think that I ever had such reading. This is rich, this is deep, this is like connection like no one that I've seen so far. So it will be good to hear from you. And again, some messages may be hitting right you, and some is like the next Scorpio, because it's not really identical life kind of like paths out there. And guys, if you really want a reading with me, you can just go in your own kind of thing and look into that deeper. But I also read these karmic things where I can see what is the lesson for you to learn here, and you can even check the past lives. So now you can see how actually deep you can go. So for that, check me on www.cattarot.ca. And if you want a student readings, look, it's in the description, because I have Cat Tarot School. So the students can definitely use some kind of practice, but I'm supervising all the readings, so you're getting benefit of that as well. Only $15, take advantage of that as well. Dear Scorpio, also hope to see you on social media, and until the next time, I love you.